As the sun rose over the sleepy village of Anandgram, Hori, a poor farmer, stepped out of his modest mud house and gazed at his barren fields. For years, Hori had struggled to make ends meet, toiling under the scorching sun and the pouring rain, but all his efforts seemed to be in vain. His crops were failing, his debts were mounting, and his family was starving. Hori sighed heavily and trudged towards the village square, hoping to find some work to do. As he walked, he saw the other farmers, dressed in their ragged clothes, carrying their sickles and spades, heading towards the fields. He knew that they, like him, were also struggling to survive, caught in the vicious cycle of poverty and debt. As he reached the square, Hori saw a group of villagers gathered around a tall, imposing man, dressed in a white dhoti and a silk kurta. The man was Lala Harmanath, a wealthy moneylender who had made his fortune by exploiting the poor farmers of Anandgram. Hori knew that Harmanath was ruthless and cunning, and he had always avoided him whenever possible. But now he could not help but be drawn to the crowd, curious to know what Harmanath was up to. Harmanath was speaking in a loud, confident voice, promising the villagers that he could solve all their problems. "My dear friends," he said, "I know that you are struggling to make ends meet. You are burdened with debts, your crops are failing, and your families are starving. But I have a solution for all your problems. I am offering you a loan at a very reasonable interest rate that will help you get back on your feet. With this money, you can buy seeds, fertilizers, and equipment and start afresh. And once your crops are harvested, you can repay the loan with ease. So, what do you say, my dear friends? Are you ready to take the first step towards prosperity?" The villagers looked at Harmanath with a mix of hope and skepticism. They knew that he was a greedy and cunning man who would not hesitate to take advantage of their desperation. But at the same time, they could not resist the temptation of getting some money, however little it might be, to save themselves from their misery. Hori was about to turn away, dismissing Harmanath's offer as yet another trap, when something caught his eye. It was a beautiful, plump cow, grazing lazily in a nearby field. Hori had always dreamt of owning a cow, which would not only provide him with milk, but also plow his fields and transport his goods to the market. But he knew that he could never afford to buy one, not with the little money he earned from his meager crops. But now, as he looked at the cow, a strange feeling of hope and determination surged within him. He knew that if he could somehow buy that cow, his fortunes would change, and he would be able to provide for his family. He approached Harmanath, his heart pounding with anticipation, and asked him how much the cow cost. Harmanath looked at Hori with a sneer and said, "The cow is not for sale, my dear friend. It belongs to a wealthy landowner who has entrusted me with its care. But if you are interested, I can offer you a loan at a very reasonable interest rate, which will help you buy your own cow." Hori's heart sank as he heard this. He knew that Harmanath was trying to trap him in another cycle of debt, which he could never repay. But he also knew that he could not give up his dream of owning a cow. He hesitated for a moment, weighing the risks and rewards, and then made up his mind. He told Harmanath that he would take the loan, but only if he could use it to buy the cow. Harmanath smiled smugly, sensing that he had caught another gullible farmer in his web. He agreed to Hori's request, but on one condition, that Hori sign a document pledging his land as collateral in case he failed to repay the loan. Hori signed the document without reading it, too blinded by his desperation to notice the fine print. Harmanath handed him a bundle of cash, telling him to count it carefully and reminding him of the interest rate he would have to pay. Hori thanked him, his heart racing with excitement, and set off towards the field where the cow was grazing. As he approached the cow, he felt a surge of joy and pride. It was a beautiful creature, with shiny brown hair and a pair of large, innocent eyes. Hori stroked its back, feeling its warmth and energy, and whispered to it, "You are mine now, my dear friend. Together, we will make a new life for ourselves." The cow looked at him, as if understanding his words, and mooed softly. Hori laughed, feeling a sense of companionship and comfort he had never experienced before. He led the cow towards his hut, his heart filled with hope and optimism, imagining all the ways in which the cow would transform his life. But his happiness was short-lived. As he reached his hut, he saw his wife, Danya, standing outside with a look of worry and anger on her face. She asked him where he had got the money from, and Hori told her the truth, that he had taken a loan from Harmanath to buy the cow. Danya's face darkened, and she scolded him for being foolish and impulsive. She reminded him of the countless farmers who had fallen into Harmanath's trap and ended up losing their land, their homes, and their dignity. She told him that they could not afford to take such risks and that they should return the money and forget about the cow. Hori was torn between his love for Danya and his passion for the cow. He knew that she was right, that Harmanath was a fraud, and that the loan could lead to disaster. But he also knew that he could not bear to part with the cow, which represented all his dreams and hopes. He decided to take a chance. He told Danya that he would repay the loan with interest, and that he would work harder than ever before to make sure that they did not fall into debt again. He promised her that the cow would change their lives, and that they would be able to live in comfort and happiness once they had enough milk and dung to sell in the market. Danya sighed, knowing that she could not change Hori's mind. She told him that she would support him, whatever happened, but that he should be careful and not trust Harmanath blindly. Hori thanked her and went inside the hut, feeling both excited and apprehensive. For the next few weeks, Hori worked tirelessly, tending to the cow, feeding it, milking it, and training it to plow the fields. He woke up before dawn and slept after midnight, barely taking a break to eat or rest. But he did not complain, for he knew that he was working for a greater cause, for the sake of his family and his future. As the days passed, Hori saw the fruits of his labor. The cows started to produce more and more milk, and Hori would sell it in the market, earning a decent profit. He would also collect the dung and use it as fertilizer for his crops, which grew stronger and healthier than ever before. Word of his success spread quickly, and soon other farmers in the village started to ask him for advice on how to improve their own farms. Hori would gladly share his knowledge, telling them about the benefits of owning a cow and warning them about the dangers of taking loans from Harmanath. Harmanath continually pressures Hori to repay his loan and threatens to take away his land. Hori joins a group of farmers protesting against his deceitful practices, and the matter is settled in court. Harmanath is forced to repay all the money he had taken from the farmers, and Hori uses his share to repay his own loan. Hori learns an important lesson about the dangers of greed and deception and the value of hard work and perseverance. He looks at the cow, which has become a symbol of his determination, and feels a sense of contentment and peace, grateful to the cow and the people who helped him along the way. The end.